Jefferson County Sheriff Jeff Bullard is with us this morning. He is with the Illinois Sheriff's Association, or he is at the Illinois Association Summer Conference of Sheriffs. I appreciate your time. You and I have talked about this before, but now that it's happening, I think we need to get a better grasp of what it really means for departments like yours. At the conference, what's the conversation surrounding this today?
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me on the program. There's a lot of concern with many of the sheriffs that are here. They're concerned that it's going to create a revolving door to allow repeat offenders to stay out in their communities to continue to commit crime and create a lot of unnecessary victims. And that's a concern for us. And if I could comment briefly on the video that you played, understand the system of cash bail we had in this state prior to this law was that every defendant could petition the judge, say that they were indigent, could not afford an attorney, could not afford the bond, and the judge could release them at this time. So we really believe that this legislation was brought to the public under false pretenses.
And just to be clear, under the previous system, if somebody could post bail, they had the money to put up, they could get out. Now that that's gone, it essentially allows a lot more people to be free until trial.
That's correct. It's a system that now the judge has limited discretion on whether or not they can be detained or not. There's several factors that a judge has to consider before detaining them for trial.
And under the previous system, even somebody accused of murder could get out on bond. So what will be the deciding factors now with no cash bail?
Well, it's if they're going to be a flight risk, if they're going to be a threat to the community, if we have reason to believe that continuing criminal activity will continue if they're allowed, then the judge can take those factors into detaining them. The old system, there was still a no bond option that, like a heinous crime, like a serious murder, a judge could actually hold someone on no bond in the previous system. So if they had a lot of means, could flee the country, flee the jurisdiction, because I've seen no bond warrants throughout my 32 years. So the previous system we had was actually one of the best systems in the nation, and they've now dismantled it.
So I'm wondering, Sheriff, if somebody, a violent offender, is then released under these circumstances, no cash bail, and they're awaiting their court date, how are they then monitored once they return to their family, their friends, their work, their school? What are the ramifications and restrictions applied to them in that interim?
Well, they could possibly have an ankle monitor put on if the court believes it's serious enough to do that. But now, if they don't show up for court after they're released, in the old system, a failure to appear warrant would be issued that would be entered into the state system. And if they're caught anywhere in the state, they would be extradited back to the jurisdiction. Now, when they miss court, instead of a failure to appear warrant being issued, there will now be a summons issued that now sheriff's offices are going to have to try to find the person, serve them with a summons, and give them a new court date. And then they got to show the court why they didn't show up for their previous court date, and then the court determines if they're in contempt of court or not. So it's going to add a large burden on sheriff's offices serving these summonses to people who are not showing up for court, when previously they just entered a failure to appear warrant.
Right. And there's also a burden on victims in many cases as they're being investigated. Everyone has a right to a fair trial, but you release these people and the victims of crimes then worry, well, this person's out until they're back in court. Does it put people in danger?
No, it certainly does, because when people think about what's the problems in their community, or when they think about the real serious crimes. But what about the neighborhood repeat offender who terrorizes his neighbors or people in his communities with several misdemeanors or low-level felonies? He's knocking people's mailboxes over, throwing bricks through windows, cussing people out in their yards, different kind of behavior like that, and they can't get him locked up because those crimes wouldn't be serious enough to be held for trial. So offenders like these keep getting released out in their community and continue to harass and terrorize people in the neighborhoods for which they live.
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.